So okay, Adam. What I want to talk about today is from our own experiences, the differences between European businesses and Vietnamese businesses. What were the difficulties? What maybe lessons you learned throughout your experience here in Vietnam?
Very interesting subject. To be honest with you, how much time we have? 5, 6 hours?
We just talk.
Because
As long as we can share the point.
this is the subject very, very big, deep. Today definitely we can bring some part of this. From my side, I would love to discuss about the things like the time approach to the time. And when I say time, I don't mean different time zone.
Yeah.
I mean that in the Vietnam we have something what we call rubber time, and in Europe we have something what I would call personally very strict time, if I can use this kind of description. Yes. How about you? What's the main differences?
I think the difference in that you've gone through, I think I gone through that as well. That is something that I had to face a lot of times actually, and which is might be a big difference that people who like try to do business internationally should really consider. So for me, it's the first things and the most vivid difference that I've went through is the differences in the business approach. What I mean by that, for example, if first time we meet each other, right? You're from the European side, I'm from the Vietnamese side. The kind of approach is a little bit different. So from my experiences is when like this, every time like when I work with like few delegations from Europe a long time ago, what they want is to work as fast as possible and be as precise as possible, straight away, right away, get to the point.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no fugazi, nothing. Just get straight to the point. For example, hello sir, I have this product. I came here for this. Do the presentation. Oh, and let's talk business. From the Vietnamese side, though, it's a little bit different because people like to know each other more, to understand each other more, to maybe get the trust between this relationship. Because Vietnamese people do believe that in long-term relationships, whatever it is, even maybe like on the personal level, on the business level as well. So they try to ease their way in the negotiations. So they maybe like try to talk about yourself, maybe about your family, about like anything but business. So this is something that I believe from the Vietnamese side and European side should understand this when they start, like the first point of contact between the businesses. And that happens, I would say, 8 times out of 10. So
yeah, let me just actually relate to this because it's very, very connected with what I said before. It's actually the way they approach to the time. So European people, they're very pragmatic and they very care about every single minute. You know, there is this famous quote. I don't know who said that, but we used to say that you can earn millions. You can, for the millions, you can buy house, you can even buy friend, but you cannot buy even 1 second.
yes.
So even from this quote, you can see how strict European people are regarding to the time. However, in Vietnam, people like, let's say, invest time in a little bit different way than in Europe. As you
Yes.
said, they like to explore personality of the partner. And if you are not ready for that, from let's say you're coming in from the Europe, you want to develop business in Vietnam or Southeast Asia, actually also, that's my apply. You must be ready for what we call sometimes in Vietnam Chim Gió.
Yeah, that is something you definitely should be noting and like understanding that.
Yeah, but one more thing, what I would say to actually give you the better picture of how European people are strict with their time. It's I remember when I came to Vietnam and then I began a relationship with my girlfriend that time. Now it's my wife, yes. And I used to ask her, like, I want to be gentleman and pick up her from the work.
Mm-hmm.
I ask her, what time you finish? She goes like 6 p.m. Yeah, come pick me up. I went pick her up. Next day, okay, I will come pick you up. She said 7 p.m. Next day 6:30. Next day 5:30. What time you finish your work? Yeah. She said we always finish at 5:30, but then we stay, we chat, we working together and things like that. However, in Europe, you know, when I used to work in Ireland, we finish at 5 p.m. 4:55. Everybody waiting in front of the machine with the card ready to scan.
Seriously.
to leave the company. 5 o'clock sharp, and maybe let's say 20 seconds later, all driving out quickly, you know.
Oh, seriously.
5 p.m. and 1 minute after 5 p.m. car park is empty. There is nobody there.
From my experience, I did work in Russia for a while, but it was a long time ago, so I don't really remember how it went. I think it was more a little bit fluid. But in Vietnam, yes, usually people end a little bit later because sometimes they believe that you have to work hard or you have to finish your task before you leave home, finish your work day. So it's something to consider as well.
It's actually very important fact because, especially for IT industry, because you know when you run IT project, there are some things like coming up like bugs and critical bugs, and let's say in Europe, with all the respect, 5 p.m. and there is nobody at the office and you need to wait to tomorrow. Doesn't matter, is the system hold down, nobody can transfer money, wherever, yes? Nobody will show up. But in Vietnam, people somehow taking responsibility. I don't know, can I call it taking responsibility, but as you say, they stay, is it 6, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., they do their task, they finish their work and then they go home. And something what also really impressed me is that they can connect this, they don't really, in my opinion, they don't really take it as a responsibility. They take it as a, because the life and relationship in Vietnam is very important. So they doing more from the respect for the relationship with their boss, with their manager.
Yes.
And it's really amazing to see something like this, seriously.
Yeah. It's like helping each other out. Because I believe from the Vietnamese side, people do like to work collectively. That is something, even like the Vietnamese families, the Vietnamese people, it's not just about work, but in general, they always work in groups. They're very collective and they do believe in supporting each other. So it's not something like, oh, I'm giving you a favor or like you need to pay me overtime for that. Of course, it's good if the company works in a professional way, but it's not something that they would consider as like a favor. Like it's and as you said, it's not like their responsibility, but they feel like, oh, I need to help my teammate, my partner, or my team, my company to get this thing done.
Exactly. I really love it. But also on the other hand, when I used to live in the Europe and working very precisely with time, it gives you another advantage because we are able to plan. And we can plan very specifically and right to the minute. So somehow for us it could be like skills and ability to see the future because we actually can plan it. Yes. And we say we do this in that time. And this is really big advantage, I would say. If you have some important project and you need to make sure that you finish on time because, I don't know, legal matter or any other restriction can cause big problem. So it's very good to have this kind of team or mindset who can actually follow the time and make sure they finish with the deadline and things like that. So as usually, there are advantages and disadvantages.
Of course.
Yeah. So, Jarek, what would you recommend? Let's say Vietnamese people want to go to Europe, knowing those information, working in Europe. How would you approach this? What is important in regard to the time and the business approach?
I believe it's a matter of learning and trying to understand each other. So, how do I say, to speak on the same terms, on like the same language, because everybody has differences, that's of course, but both Europeans and Vietnamese businesses should understand that you have to respect other people's culture and it goes the other way as well. So it's not like something that you can do right away. It's a skill that needs practice, of course. It needs time, because even for myself, I'm a guy who's been living in Europe and in Vietnam for a long time, and I'm still learning. That's the thing. And like every time maybe I meet another type of people as well, because everybody has, from a personal and from the business perspective, are different. Even in Vietnam, I can even say, like, for example, if the northern businesses and southern business, they do work a little bit different as well.
Very good point.
So yeah, it's a matter of understanding and learning. I feel it is a process, and that's why I feel our information here today will be much valuable for everybody to. And we, of course, we are, as people who try to learn as well, it would be very nice if somebody who had the experience can share with us here as well.
Yeah.
So
agree with you 100%. Our goal is to share our experience. Yeah. Me and you probably we had 1,000 challenges working in Vietnam,
of
working
course.
in Europe.
Yes.
So the goal is like to pass this knowledge and maybe help our listeners and audience to avoid those mistakes. Yeah.
Yes, and we, of course, we want the business from like international business to grow. For example, we all like the IT community. I think is like a one big community, and there's like something that we have in common. I would say it's a very specific type of business that is very easy to spread worldwide.
Exactly.
So there is something it's very valuable to just understand from the personal, from the business culture views.
Yeah, if people, let's say European people approach here, I saw this situation many times. European entrepreneur approaching or enterprises approaching Vietnam with the idea that they will save the money on the resources, and that's it. What is in their eyes, it's only like dollar, let's save the money. But it's require additional things like, as you said, learning and understanding both cultures. Very important. What is, in my opinion, one of the most important is actually trying to avoid of judgment.
Yes.
So basically, if you get in this vicious circle that you will be observing and saying that, oh, this is bad, this is good, I think you'll be in the trouble. The number one advice what I would give to anybody, just try, don't judge and say it's different, either you align with this or not. And look at the culture different from this perspective. It will help you to make your life much easier and much easier to adapt with the environment.
Yeah, I do believe it's a very valuable point. And from you saying this, I also, like, from my own experience, I remember that ego sometimes steps in the way as well. That is something that people should really consider, not letting the ego come in front. Because sometimes, yes, I'm used to work like this. This is how I work. This is how I do business. But if everybody is, how do I say, keeping their own rules, then how can you meet the main goal, right? Like from the both parties to do business. That's sometimes a very, very valuable thing to learn, I would say.
Definitely. Coming back to the difference in the time and different mindset, I would say that something what we can consider as a big difference, it's again how the people approach to the time, how they approach the time perspective, and what was for me the most challenging on the very beginning, it was that the people in Vietnam, let's say, they were coming late to the meetings, and like I was a little bit confused. They just coming half hour later, like nothing never happened. Sit down, have a meeting. Like I remember I went for the date with a girl, and she came out 1.5 hours later. How I did know that? Because she called me 1.5 hours later, and she asked me where I am, and said, I am in home for last hour. I thought she will never show up, but it's somehow I at that time I understand she testing. But anyway, like what is my point here, that being late or approaching to the time, we need to understand that it's nothing disrespectful. Like sometimes in the Europe, we take it very personally that, oh my God, he came too late and he doesn't respect me. But in Vietnam, in my opinion, it doesn't mean that. It's actually completely different than in Europe. In Vietnam, in my opinion, people, they don't want to stress out over being late 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Yes. They rather focus on their peace of mind, on keeping good relationship, and never when they're late, they don't do it especially to hurt you. There's always in Vietnam 1,000 excuses or reasons like traffic, mom got sick or wherever. I need to.
But sometimes they, for example, they're late not out of like disrespect, because they see things a little bit different. Yes, from like me living abroad in Europe, I understand. Yes, if our meeting is at 6, or even like no matter if it's a business meeting or just a normal like date, I would say like you have to be pinpoint. 6 is 6, and not a minute late, because it is disrespectful. Because people value each other's time. Because they say time is money, right? So you literally like disrespecting somebody. But in Vietnam, it's a little bit different. Sometimes like they believe these are small problems that should be really worried about. And like it's sometimes not, they don't make it a big thing, and they trying to be understandable. For example, if I'm late, you should be okay with it. But if you're late, I should be okay with it as well. So it's more of a fluidity in the relationship, I believe so.
Yeah, and I can confirm that because I was just actually 1 hour late for this meeting.
But that's because of a misunderstanding, right?
So. Yeah, but you still stay here. Probably in Europe, the people would be gone, the whole studio closed already. But there is one more thing what I am observing about that. First of all, actually, what I would like to say is it was annoying for me. I will be very honest with you. It was very annoying for me on the beginning. I didn't know, like I came to the meeting, I was waiting for the guys, there is nobody there. I was thinking, oh my God, in this time I could work, I could send email, I could do blah, blah, blah. But then I said, okay, this is kind of bothering me. It's actually heavy on my mind, so I need to change something. And I actually, changed this, let's say at that time, disadvantage to, in the present moment, to advantage. So basically what I am doing, I'm going to the meeting, I take book with me, and when somebody is late, I have the opportunity to read the book. And longer than late, I'm happier I am.
Yes, it's actually a very good point.
Then, it's the best way is to find a way not judging this, leverage these differences for your benefits, and enjoy it with a smile.
Yeah. So one more point that I like remember right now. So, for example, I would say it's more like Asian people. They're more fluid in their communication. For example, they believe like, for example, they have to respect the elderly people, and like younger people have to respect like this. So there's like more of a hierarchy. So sometimes getting the point straight, it's not politically correct, I would say, to people. For example, if you're my boss, right? And I'm your employee, and there's a problem. Sometimes they cannot say it straight to the face, like, oh, Adam, we have this problem, like this, because they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And for example, in Europe, people are like, you need to keep it as straight as possible, get straight to the point, so we don't waste any time as well. So it's mostly about time, right? Yeah. So both sides should understand that as well, because I would say like Asian people, not only Vietnamese, it's about the respect, it's about like the sincerity, but still you have to say, if get to the point, like a little bit slow. And with respect.
I understand that now we want to discuss a little bit about the communication style, which is actually completely different than European. Let's say we have this kind of description or whatever, like definition of the talking straight and going around. Yeah, so we can kind of say that the talking straight, it would be European style. As you said, maybe the reason is to save the time, but also I think personally from my point of view, it's confusing for European.
Yes.
They don't want to guess. They don't want to waste time for guessing. So the communication, this is another extremely important point we would like to discuss today. And again, I think we can spend on that few hours.
Yes.
But two main differences, direct communication and indirect communication. I remember some time ago I drew in the paint a picture where we have one foreigner, let's say Westerner, and the straight arrow direct to another Westerner, and the communication is good. However, there was one, let's say Asian, and one foreigner, and the communication from Asian is going like around, and communication from foreigner going straight. So they don't understand each other. But then if we have a two Asian, Vietnamese, let's say, and the communication going around, and from other side communication going around, they can understand themselves perfectly. And to be honest with you guys, it was one of the hardest thing for me to learn on the very beginning, and it was very challenging. Seriously, it was very challenging. It didn't allow me to create very good relationship. It didn't allow me to understand the culture. It didn't allow me to run business very well. So communication is extremely important. It's difficult as hell, but it's doable.
Yes.
It's doable. You need to be much more sensitive, I would say, when you are a foreigner and communicating with Vietnamese. What are your takeaways on that?
I believe that you should, in the communication, you should always ask something that you maybe don't understand, something you don't know, in a nice way. And I believe you can always get to the point of understanding each other. Of course, if you somebody who's from Europe and first time in Asia, yes, it might be. That's why it's called a culture shock. It's for everybody the same.
Exactly.
And it's the other way around. If you're Vietnamese who's never been in Europe, of course, it's a culture shock for you as well. So there's something that you can prepare. Maybe if you're deciding to do business abroad like this, is something that you should be preparing. Of course, you cannot prepare everything. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be misunderstandings. But then is the way you look at those misunderstandings, you can learn from it. You can ask about it. For example, like just ask why you guys doing it like this. Maybe is there something I don't understand? And just let's trial and error. It's not something that you can like learn from the book. It's not like a rule that you can apply to something.
I would say that this is extremely complex subject, yes, and extremely. If we look at this as a skill or ability, it's very, very difficult. At least it was for me. So I would say I would advise, or maybe I would share my experience that if you come in here to Vietnam and you want to just come here to do the business, you don't want to live here. Get somebody to help you. I mean, like get some local guys or anybody who is familiar, because you will waste too much time on learning these skills. I am learning this for like last 7 years, and still like my wife, she's Vietnamese, and sometimes I have no idea what she's saying. Like at this moment, our relationship is so good that I can tell her directly, listen, you are going around. Can you just explain me this directly what you mean, because I don't understand? And
you see. So it's a thing of experience and investing the time as well, because for me, from my experience, I did a lot of consulting for both Vietnamese companies and European companies coming to Vietnam. Oh wow! The first, I would say, 3 or 4 years, I don't know what I was doing, and neither. Everybody was understanding what they're doing. Everybody knew what they wanted, but we cannot communicate. Like the language was fine, but then the communication was so bad. Yeah, and I think we've been going on the same boat on this subject. And I believe that, having somebody who understands the local businesses or like just the local culture, for example, is like the same. If you're coming from Europe to Vietnam and you want to eat local food, you want somebody to show you the good places, right? And where the good food is, something like this. And the same with Vietnam. Because I was born in Europe, I knew the European culture more. When I came to Vietnam, it was shocking for me as well. But then there was my mom, my relatives, Vietnamese relatives, they who showed me this, and I started to get inside. And if you don't, especially if European businesses, they don't want to waste time, which is they see as very valuable, right? Get somebody to help you.
Yeah, basically from pragmatic point of view, I would say, and business oriented, just it will be much easier for a foreigner coming here only in the purpose for doing business and then have a plan to go back to Europe, just to work with somebody local. If we go deeper into this, it's not only by communication, verbal and indirect, how it's going, but there are many other behaviors which
Yes.
I would also call there are communication here in Vietnam, which need to happen during the whole conversation or during the whole dealing to make sure that the deal will go successfully. So for instance, like eating together or singing together, this is another, and it's kind of creating relationship actually.
Yes, of course.
The goal of communication is creating exchange of information, but also on the side we want to make sure when we work with Vietnamese people that they feel the relationship between the parties is very, very good. Yeah.
Yes. So I believe it's something that people should consider as well.
Asians are not very direct. Asians in general, Vietnamese are not very direct.
Yeah, from my experience, for example, from my observation, I would say the Chinese businesses, the Korean businesses, they come into Vietnam very fast. I seen them as fast as like 2-3 weeks. Their business is already running here, and I was doing business with the other European companies. It took 2 years just to register the company, do the legal stuff, etc., etc. It's so much time.
What's the main reason why they're so slow?
Because they were researching by themselves. They thought that the business that are doing in their country is the same in Vietnam. But it's like totally different.
I made the same mistake. I remember when I came here from Ireland, and in Ireland, when I opened my first business, it's required to have your laptop and credit card.
Yeah.
And then I sit in home and I register company in 10 minutes and then you have a business. Yeah.
Yes.
And what I did when I came to Vietnam, I want to register business. So I took my ID, passport, and I went to the FDI, the Foreign Direct Investment Center. Yes. And I said, hi, I want to open company. The lady looked at me, what you want to hear? And actually, what was funny about that, I came there, it was 12:30. And I come to the building and it's so quiet. There is like nobody there. And I come into the counter and I look behind the counter and there are like a lot of people chair together and they sleeping on the chairs. I said, what's going on here? It was like really, I didn't have an idea what's going on. And now I know it was lunchtime, everybody's sleeping.
Yeah, so for example, how do other Asian countries come into Vietnam? From my experience, they get somebody who already knows how it's already run. They save the time, and they already like find somebody who can help, who can consult them, and consult them in a good way. Because sometimes, like if you like right, you go to FDI, then you go somewhere else. It's so much waste of time. Sometimes it's a waste of money as well. So and you don't get your problem solved, right? Apart from that, there's a lot of consulting companies or just local people who can consult you on a personal level of how everything is done in Vietnam. It would be so much. I believe in terms of financial, it would be even cheaper. I would say that.
Definitely. I tell you, like now, recently I was just changing my business registration certificate. Even though I know how to set up company, because I did it actually at that time. It took me 3 months, but I did it. Yeah, I'm kind of stubborn person, I would say. But even having those knowledge now, and I know I can go and do it myself, I said I don't do it. I called to the consulting company and asked them to do it. In 2 days, I had a new business registration.
Yeah, and then you just sit at home and read your book.
and it's not like super expensive or something. It's definitely much more worth it. investment of this money than my time and stressing out with go all this stuff which I don't know much.
Yes. Or even for Vietnamese people, sometimes it's confusing because there's something that you don't understand or you might not know, because not everybody knows everything. So for companies that are coming from abroad here, it's even harder.
Yeah, because when you come like a new entity, you come into Vietnam, you don't really have traction or relationships with the people in here. The Asian countries, when they come here, they find a guy who already has been doing it for a while. So they already have those connections. They know the right guy who to ask, and they have like the whole relationship thing again. They already built a relationship with the authorities or with the guys who can solve those problems. That's why you just need to ask them, and they will refer you, and they will use those. They will use that advantage.
Yeah.
This is very important point, when we come in here, let's say we did some basic research in Europe and we see big opportunity in Vietnam, we want to develop our business. Okay, we decide, let's have a consultant, let's have somebody to help us. But the question is where we can find them. Mm-hmm. How you can verify this is the good guy or bad guy. This is also very important thing. Any advice for that? Here is my phone number.
Yeah, you guys can call me. For example, of course, it's something that you have to do research on, and of course, you never know, because even from my side, I am still a foreigner here, and I do have to still renew my visa, and sometimes it happens that some people they say they can help me with that. To consult me with for example, with my paperwork, but sometimes they cannot do it, and that happened a lot of times. So,
in Vietnam, it's like a popular phrase. I know a guy who knows a guy.
So, yeah, and something like that's why relationships in Vietnam are very important. For example, if you are a guy that have a good relationship, right? And I might ask you, like, I don't know how to solve this problem. Maybe I don't know how to register a company. Adam, do you know somebody from your friends? Because I trust you. So like a friend of my friend is my friend as well, right? So in Vietnam, it works like that. And there's actually sometimes a point that people in Europe, they're sometimes, it's not like by themselves, but they're like, they can do business alone, for example, like that. Yeah. In Vietnam, that's why I said people work.
Solopreneur, this is actually a big trend
in Vietnam.
Europe.
Everybody has to like have relationship, because it makes your job, your problem solving a lot more easier. Yeah, I would say.
Additionally, what I would say about finding the right partner, first of all, in Vietnam, when we're talking about IT industry, it's very same as in Europe and US. We use LinkedIn here, and actually you can see the credential of the people by observing their profile on LinkedIn. Yes. This is very easy and quick way to verify if the person is really understand, and does this person, let's say, share some information, or does this company share some information. That's the number one thing. What in my opinion, we should look for. Second, of course, arrange the call, ask for the strength of this person. Be maybe sensitive for the sentence like, oh, we can do everything. Yes. I would suggest, if you hear something like that, or if you feel somebody is too cocky, if somebody this is easy, I would say this is the time when the red lamp go on.
Yes.
So that would be the second advice. And actually, this can happen quite often, to be honest with you. Thirdly, what I would say, the basic things about researching the website, looking at the company profile, it's also very important. Maybe personal, looking at the company, looking at the person behind this company, and looking on their social media, because actually in Vietnam I see the social media is so popular, like Facebook. You can see a lot of stuff there. If you go, let's say you find some CEO of some company, and then you go to his Facebook, and then you see him like drunk and stoned and wherever. Also, and in Vietnam I see it's very normal to share this kind of stuff.
Yes, because sometimes you're showing your relationships, people who you hang out with. So sometimes it's actually a selling point. Like, for example, I know this guy, or I know this guy, and then somebody comes in. Oh, I know this guy too. Like, oh, so we have like our common
Something in
friends and
common,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, let's be friends together. So in Vietnam, it's always like, how do I say, interlocked. I would say. So like, and the thing is, Vietnam is a very small country from my experience. There's a lot of people. It's a very small country. And everybody knows
First time.
everybody. So it's actually a very good thing, because you can connect with anybody you want through like your friends, your relatives. So
I agree with this 100% that in Vietnam, making relationship and connection, it's much easier. In Europe, we quite cold and closed. So for instance, like when I live in Ireland, I didn't know, like, let's say you live in the apartment building. So in my building, I know everybody. I know dad, I know his sister, I know this is brother, friend. We know everybody, each other. But in Ireland, I have no idea who live under. I have no idea who live above. I don't know who is neighbor on the right. So we are like kind of close. And as you say, here the relationship, creating a relationship, it's much easier. Creating strong and deep relationship, okay, it's difficult, it requires the time, yes, but like to get acquaintance, to meet somebody, it's, I would say, much easier, and I really personally love it.
And a funny story, that's actually how we met, right?
Yes.
So,
He's friend of the friend.
yeah, he's a friend of a friend who like, lives not far here, like, and we sit, we like drink coffee together, and that's how we talk, and that's how we figure out that we both work in IT industries. We have like common things, and then we talk, and that's how we are here, basically, right?
Yeah, actually, quite exactly. The story goes like this, and you know, from such a simple, I would say simple acquaintance, meeting each other, we starting creating something valuable for us. I hope it's valuable for everybody, and this is our goal. Yes, but I really hope that when we exchange this information, when we exchange our experience, we also exchange this experience with everybody who watching.
Of course.
And then they can learn from our challenges. And you know, such a small thing like drinking together coffee can bring relationship.
Open like like the whole rainbow of things to do together. And the same, like that's why it's our main goal, is to help people from European people and Vietnamese people, Asian people in general, like to understand each other better and get more of a fluid cooperation, I would say, relationships between each other, more understanding, better businesses, faster businesses, more effective businesses. That's the value I think we were trying to give here as well. And of course, we are learning ourselves. And for some people, maybe our audience here or somebody who's watching us, they can contact us. We can help them as well. And the same, Vietnamese people, we can help them on some points as well.
Yeah, like I guess many people who listen this, they had different challenges, and I would love to hear about those challenges.
Of course.
If you guys having something funny, special, or unique, feel free to drop this in the comment. I really love discovering this kind of things and having discussion on this kind of challenges. Yes. What else I would say? What else I would like to discuss? It's about the. What I noticed when I started consulting the big corporation, let's say more than $10 million revenue and things like that, more than 1,000 people, about their decision-making process. Because I see in Europe, let's say when we talk about the corporation, we have a specific department for making specific decision, and in this department you have 10 people who making that decisions. Yes. So I would say it's collective kind of making decisions. And in Vietnam, I notice it's a little bit different. There is like one leader. Yes, either is CEO of the company, either is a leader of department, something like that. But this is the person go-to. The settings look like this. There is some important thing coming to the discussion. Everybody discussing, But then the last decision, it's always belongs to the leader,
Yes.
so the head. That's my actually observation. I don't know. Have you ever got this kind of experience?
Actually, it's I see it a little bit. It's actually the same, but I see it a little bit from the other side. From Vietnam, everything goes from above and down, and the same way. For example, if you contact with somebody here, right? They'll have to go through this, the leader, and then he goes the other way around. It's actually from my experience and my observation as well. Like, but sometimes if I work with a European company, sometimes it's only like maybe 2 people. I work with somebody, he contacts the other guy. I don't know who is like the leader, the CEO, and then they give decisions straight away. So it's something that people would actually should consider and respect those differences and the approach of work.
Yeah, this is very important point. So in Europe, let's say when we want to, let's say colloquial language, we want to sell something, yeah? So we need to sell it to the right people. And you can actually be sure that it will be not one person, it will be people.
Yes.
And maybe 2 or maybe 3. You need to keep it in mind. Whenever you approach somebody, well, if it's my case, let's say I'm talking with CEO, but I know in decision for, let's say, IT outsourcing, the CTO will be also engaged. So what I do, I am telling him things that he can actually just straightforward repeat to his CTO, yes? So I will ask, for example, him, so about who is leading the technical team, yes? And he will say, oh, John, he is leading technical team. So I would say, yeah, probably John concern is might be A, B, C. According to this concern, we usually say this. And then the CEO, he has a tool. Actually, he can go, and I am telling he's my seller.
Yes, he will sell for you. Yes.
Exactly. So that's what we do. However, in Vietnam, what I am doing, I am trying to go through the ladder, quickly reaching to the top guy.
Yeah.
Convince him. He making decision. Okay, done deal.
So you guys see sometimes it's just the different approach, and there is so many barriers and so many business ideas that were never fulfilled because of like simple misunderstandings like this. So it's like small things, but you have to understand each point.
I can give you another example. Like, it was my big challenge. I remember I was consulting big corporation, and I was leading the department with 40 people, I think. And then I believe in collective intelligence. What does that mean? It's mean for me that 10 people are definitely smarter than only me.
Yes.
So what I used to do, I used to take everybody to the room, and we do brainstorming session. And man, I had so much challenges with that. It's actually such a simple exercise, but I had so much challenges. So basically, I was running brainstorming session as usually I ran with let's say with the notepads on the board or whatever different methodology you apply to run brainstorming session. But there was nobody engaging. Serious. I was only one person who engaged, yes. And then I don't know how I came to this conclusion and understanding that when I am in the room and I am leader of this team, they sitting there and waiting for me because they hoping that I give them solution, yes? But for me, they are expert and I want to listen their expertise as well. So what was my solution for that? I used to come into the room, get everybody, write down on the board what's the problem, what is our goal, and I'll go leave the room, come back after half hour, and the whole board full of ideas.
Yeah, of course. I do feel like in Vietnam, that's why I say that's sometimes I see in Vietnam they work in a hierarchy. So like your manager always tells you what to do, the manager listens to the director listens to the CEO listens to the to the investors. So it's always the flow from above and down. So like if I'm the employee, I have to listen to your instructions for your leadership, that you tell what we're gonna do, how we solve this problem, and I do it. So it's like that. So that's why Vietnamese people are sometimes a little bit shy in that, or maybe they're sometimes even a little bit shocked, because if you ask their opinion, they're like, oh,
Yes.
there is something they're not familiar with.
Jung, what's going on?
I think one camera failed.
Oh shit!
From very beginning?
No.
Just now?